Welcome to Module 2, Modeling. In this module, we're going to learn how to create simple 3D models. We're going to learn about working planes and how to control them. We're going to learn about 3D viewing. We're going to learn how to create drawings from a 3D model. And we're going to learn how to place and edit a simple light. Let's start with Lesson 2.1. Creating a simple 3D model. In this lesson we're going to learn how to create a simple model, we're going to learn the rules for simple 3D modeling, we're going to learn how to edit extrusions, and we're going to learn how to control extrusion height and elevation. So let's get into Vectorworks. In this lesson we're going to learn some simple rules for 3D modeling. I'm going to start by checking my units. I think at the moment I'm using millimeters just by looking at my ruler here. So File, Document Settings, Units. You might remember in a previous movie we looked at changing and storing our settings. So I want to go back to feet and inches for this particular one. You might also remember we set our grid. So I'll just go back and check that. And there's our grid, 4 inches. I really wanted this to be 36 inches, so I'll change that to 36. And now I can start drawing. Now the first thing that I want to draw is a rectangle. I'm going to start off by double-clicking on the rectangle tool. I'm going to make this 6 inches by 6 inches, 150 millimeters by 150 millimeters. I want my box position, so the origin of my rectangle, at the center, and I want to turn off position at next click because I'd like these to be at 0, 0. Click OK. So that's created a rectangle. If I go up here and I change to a isometric view, you can see there's my rectangle. But the other curious thing is that there's now a new mode on my toolbar, the push-pull mode. With this mode activated, which it is by default, I can go to the rectangle I've already created, I can click and I can pull that up. Now I'd like to come back and look at that because what I'd like to show you is what's happening. So the command we're going to use is Model on the menu bar and then Extrude. And we want to extrude this to about 27.5 inches, which is 650 millimeters. So I can type in 650 mm and that'll give me my extrusion. So let's just have a look here. We've got this object here, fit to page area, or this one, fit to objects. So it zooms me to the entire object that I've got there. So let's make that 26 inches. So 2 foot 2 inches. So what about the thing that we want to put on top? We want to put another rectangle on top. So double click on the rectangle tool again. This time it's 4 inches by 4 inches. Or if you prefer, it is 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters. Also at 0, 0, so we can go OK. Now we need to extrude this by 2 inches. So Model, Extrude, 2 inches, or 50 millimeters. Now you'll notice it's down on the ground. You can see it down here. You might remember that one of our hotkeys to speed up our drawing is the B key. Someone called that B for behind. So you can see what's behind. And there you can see my extrusion down on the ground. So here we've got the bottom Z. So we need to lift that up. So that was 26 inches. So that brings it to sit up on top of the other object. Let's double click on our rectangle tool again. And we're going to create another rectangle. This one is 150 millimeters or 6 inches by 6 inches, 150 millimeters again. So let's click OK. You'll see it's down on the ground again. So if I hold down the B key, you can see it down the bottom. So let's have a look at that and we'll extrude that as well. Model on the menu bar and Extrude. So this time we want to extrude that by 6 inches, 150 millimeters. But it's still on the ground. What do we need to do? Well, we need to lift this by 26 inches plus 2 inches. Or if using metric, 650 millimeters plus 50 millimeters. Now I know the mental arithmetic's not that hard, but I just wanted you to see how you can add. But you can also subtract, divide, times. So there's quite a lot of things you can do with that. let's just zoom out so we can see everything. So if I double click on my selection tool, so nothing is selected, fit to objects, there's my entire object. There's a great tool here which is the flyover tool. If I click and hold my mouse button down, I can turn my view around. Now there are several modes for using this. The first mode rotates it about the center. The second mode is the interactive origin mode. This one you click and hold your mouse button down and that becomes the center of the rotation. So I quite like that one. This is the center of the object. And we haven't got an object selected, so it should be the middle of the window. There you can just see the interactive thing right in the middle of that object. We can also do things like look at our OpenGL options. So maybe if we increase the quality and we draw edges and use shadows, it might be easier for us to see our object. So that's one way of creating our object. I'm just going to select everything and delete it. Let's start again, only this time we're going to use some slightly quicker techniques. So I double click on the rectangle tool again. Again it's 6 inches by 6 inches. And we're going to turn off position next click. We've got our 0, 0. Click OK. Now remember, when we go back to our rectangle, it turns red. Click, we can pull that up. Remember that was 26 inches. Enter once, enter again. And that creates our object straight away for us. The other thing we could do is to change to our center corner mode. Now we're going to cover working planes in the future. So at the moment what I'd like to do is just to ignore that. So we're going to go double click on our rectangle tool again. Remember this was 4 inches by 4 inches and OK. Now this time it's hard for us to see our rectangle unless we hold our finger on the B key and then we can pull that up and that was 2 inches. Enter once, enter again. And there it is. Don't forget we needed to lift that up by 26 inches. And then double click on the rectangle tool again. This time it's 6 inches by 6 inches again. Hold down the B key so we can see the bottom. We can pull that up. 6, enter once, enter again, and that finishes it. So remember we made that 26 plus 2 and it puts it on top. So that's a fairly quick way to create objects. In this lesson you learned how to create a simple model. You learned the rules for simple 3D modeling. You learned how to control and edit extrusions. And you learned how to control extrusion height and elevation.